Well, it's a film about the lobbying efforts of Bob Geldof and Bono and people like Bill Gates and others that have been pursued for the past 30 years, basically, since Bob Geldof started Live Aid. And it's a concerted effort, and it's interesting to see the learning experience that these guys have been going through. I've been interested in investigating how their perspective on African poverty has changed during this, from sort of give us the money and poverty will disappear and everybody will be happy if you just fork out the money, to a much more sophisticated approach which they have today, where they instead rather try to change policy and, for example, make more to get more just and fair trade legislation between the poor world and the rich world, to achieve increased transparency in dealings between the extractive industries and governments here and in Africa. And I hope that this film then will lead the audience to the same questions as I've been having, and surely Bono and Geldof and Gates also have, because the answers are still eluding us on how to do these things. We are trying. Well, fairness and justice is sort of a basic thing, that the dealings between multinational companies and governments in Africa and landowners, etc., are slanted and quite often are not fair. That allow for corruption and for individuals to enrich themselves, rather than making the, for example, mineral wealth. I mean, the mines in Congo where you get the metal for mobile phones, it's not really the owners of that land that get the money that all this extracted mineral produces. And something has to be done about this legislation. So that's really, really important. And then obviously so many millions of kids, mothers that are giving birth, etc., are dying unnecessarily today, and that's something we could change very quickly. And numerous other things as well. The relationship between the rich world and Africa has been governed a lot by money and politics for a very long time, and development aid as well. The reason for giving development aid for a long time, a lot of the money was given to friendly dictators and friendly regimes that Western regimes wanted to prop up. Perhaps not so much Swedish money, but much of the UK, US, international money. Another thing that has clearly worked is debt cancellation to certain countries like Ethiopia, where the Ethiopian government very clearly, regardless of whether, political freedom and all that, but they really want to give their kids education. And having less debt has made it possible for them to give more money to schools and to open more schools for kids. So there are such, clear examples when it actually has worked. I mean, I think it has lots about responsibility, isn't it? Whether you're part of change or you're not part of change. And I think that everyone has to ask themselves that. Do I want to be part of changing the world to something better, or will I pass that chance of doing something? And that's an important question also if you get kids. I mean, one day your kids will ask you, what did you do during those days when it was so easy to avert all those millions of kids dying, or all those mothers dying unnecessarily? I mean, then it can be good to have an answer. Yes, I thought about that and I did this and this. I mean, if everybody does something, then it will have a tremendous effect. There's a snowball effect.